Hello, good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning,
Good
everyone.
morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. We will start in 5 minutes.
Sure, all right, thanks. I
Thank
just
you.
want to check if I can open my PPT one.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. I, Parastu, an executive member of Legal Vidya, welcome you all on behalf of Legal Vidya on this webinar on AI. About Legal Vidya. Legal Vidya was founded in 2020 with the mission of trusted in the field of law. The organization aims to empower professionals to gain knowledge and grow their expertise in the field of legal field. Legal Vidya offers various opportunities such as internship programs, a platform to establish the articles and the host interactive webinars and sessions for our members. Through Legal Vidya, individuals can gain access to valuable resources, network, with ultimately develop their skills for successful in the legal profession. About the webinar. the upcoming session on the impact of artificial intelligence on right to privacy. Right to privacy is included under Article 21 in the case Puttaswamy case. Promises to be a thought-provoking and insightful exploration of one of the pressing issues in today's technological age. As artificial intelligence continues to advance and permeate various aspects of our lives, concerns about privacy, breaches, and data misuse have become paramount around the world. These sessions aim to shed light on the intricate relationship between AI and the right to privacy, delving into the challenges posed by AI driven surveillance, data collection, and algorithmic decision making. Experts from diverse backgrounds will engage in dynamic discussions examining potential regulatory frameworks, ethical considerations, and various technological solutions to safeguard our individual privacy while fostering responsibility of AI innovations. Participants can expect to gain a deeper understanding of this complex intersection, explore ways to strike a balance between artificial intelligence, transformative potential, and the fundamental right to privacy. About the speaker, Miss Sanjana Bhardwaj ma'am has pursued her bachelor's BBA LLB honors from MITS Law School, MITS University, Rajkot. Thereafter, she pursued her master's degree in law from the National Academy of Legal Studies and Research, Nalsar, the University of Law, Hyderabad, in 2019. She cleared her NET examination in July 2019. Pursuant to joining the School of Law, MIT WPO, she was an assistant professor at Department of Law, Savitri Bai Phule, Pune University. She has a keen interest in legal research. The title of her dissertation submitted in Nalsar was An Ethnographic Analysis of Educational Language Rights of Ethnic Minorities in India. She has interned with reputed legal firms and organizations like BSK Legal, Center of World Trade Organization, Indian Institute of Foreign Trade, New Delhi National Green Tribunal, New Delhi State Human Rights Commission, Rostrom Legal Academy, and Child Rights and UCRI Bangalore. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, team, for the introduction. I will request you to kindly share my PPT on screen. I believe there's some issue with sharing once I try to share it. Can you please do that? Yes, thank you, Sakshi. All right, a very good morning to each and every one of you. I hope you're doing well, and thank you once again for the kind invitation to the Legal Vindhya team. And I hope that this session it turns out to be interactive and a brainstorming session on a very important aspect of artificial intelligence and right to privacy. Now, since I have been in academia for the last 4 years, and in the last 6 months, academia has changed largely. Why is that? For the simple reason that when students right now submit the research papers, they submit it using chat gpt tool and think that this will not be caught in plagiarism. I receive emails from the students with a hefty explanation why they could not attend a lecture, and I know this for a fact that they have used the ChatGPT tool. I think we are all guilty of using the same, right? So it becomes important for us that although artificial intelligence is there for us for our benefits, but how does this aspect infringes the aspect of right to privacy? Now, I'm correlating this aspect of right to privacy for the simple reason I'm a constitutional law faculty and I'm very passionate about especially teaching Article 21. Now, considering the Puttaswamy judgment came in, which has discussed in length about how right to privacy should be dimensioned. Now, one pivotal aspect under right to privacy was also the aspect of right to be forgotten, which was discussed in length in the Puttaswamy's judgment. So, as a result of this, it becomes important for us that since there are two dimensions, which deals with technology and one which deals with constitutional law, it becomes imperative for us to discuss the aspects of the right to life with reference to right to privacy under the realm of artificial intelligence. And hence, it becomes a very important discussion for each and every one of us. Why it becomes again an interesting interrogation or an investigation is because of the fact that we also see this aspect that there are no regulatory laws in India which discusses about the aspect of artificial intelligence with right to privacy. And hence, in the digital era, it becomes important for us to know, discuss the aspects of artificial intelligence with the aspects of right to privacy. right? And again, this is a very good research topic for the law students to write a research article on. If you haven't yet thought about it, I would request you to kindly consider this particular discussion maybe as a brainstorming session for you guys, so that you can write a research topic on this particular aspect. Okay, Sakshi, can we go to slide number 3, please? Yes, thank you. So when we discuss about how does artificial intelligence largely works, now it uses the aspect of network, internet network connectivity that we have got. Now, thanks to the internet revolution that we have seen right now, we see that there is an AI input data which takes place. You can see that on the left hand side of your screen. You type certain components what you require, and then you use a network system, and the output gets generated. Now this output, when it gets generated, it contains two types of data with you. One is the personal data and one is the non-personal data. Now let me give you a simple example. I hope you have explored the platform of ChatGPT. Now once you open ChatGPT, there are certain essential things that you need to fill, right? Something very basic can be your name, can be your date of birth, can be your email ID, or can be your phone number. Now, all of these input data that we are doing right now is something which is called as an input AI input data. Now, this is a personal information which you are feeding the system, correct? Now, does any one of you is aware about the fact that where is this system, where is this information getting stored? This personal information getting stored, is it getting stored in India, or is it getting stored outside India? And what is going to be the quantum of this information, right? So that is the reason why our ministries and governments, etc., have come up and said this point, that you need to ensure this particular fact, that the information which gets generated in India gets stored in India as well. But some, with reference to artificial intelligence, something like this is yet not done. Yes, correct, we are largely using cloud storage. Now who's the owner of the cloud storage is something very questionable in nature, correct? And that is the reason this aspect infringes the aspect of your right to privacy. Now you might come in and say this fact that, okay, I'm not bothered about my gender being known to the individuals, but something, an aspect of your name, your entire identity dissection can take place, and somebody else can be using this particular identity, correct? So this will have a very harrowing effect on the rights of the people largely, if something like this is not used. Now if we come to the next slide, please, we see that AI tools largely has seen the most number of dollars being chipped in. I think we are all also guilty of the fact that we have done a Google check, Google search to know about what is the rate of cryptocurrency. Correct? Now, cryptocurrency can also be considered as a medium by which you are earning money. And if you see the machine learning applications here, you see how lucrative this kind of business is, which means that more and more number of people are going to invest in this particular resource, maybe this year or the upcoming years, right? We are also seeing so many of the information getting dissected and spread worldwide with reference to artificial intelligence. Now, which is that area where artificial intelligence has yet not touched? Now, yesterday I was scrolling through Instagram. Now, there was this reel on Instagram which came in and said this point, okay, Chat GPT, create this building. And Chat GPT was creating a specific building. So all of these instances are going to also have certain challenges with it. Now, if you see the applications, the monetary applications, using the tool of artificial intelligence, we see that it is a lucrative business, which means people are not going to stop it in the upcoming future. Correct? Now, if they're not going to stop it, it infringes your right to privacy. Now, if we come on to the next slide, there was a data which was undertaken by the marketingcharts.com. Now this is a 2017 data. Let me remind you that this data is almost 6-7 years old, correct? Now at that particular moment of time, we weren't so much aware about artificial intelligence. Now I'm not going into the intricacies of the same, when was artificial intelligence came into place, etc., etc., but I'll give you one gist. And the gist is artificial intelligence was first talked in the 17th century. In the 17th century. Now, in the year 2017, we see that the consumer's biggest concerns with artificial intelligence is what? Protection of personal data. Now, at that particular moment of time, boys and girls, we did not think about the aspect of privacy, correct? Privacy was not even recognized as a fundamental right by 2017 in India. And this isn't a fundamental rights in so many other countries, right? But this was a major concern which many of the individuals raised. Apart from the aspect of other things which you can see that on your screen. So what are the concerns that we are looking at with reference to artificial intelligence and data that we are feeding the system? If we see the next slide, we see that the data and artificial intelligence largely has an interplay. Now see, there is a Venn diagram which is created, and you see the mid circle. Now, the data and artificial intelligence has aspects of violation of human rights, violation of privacy, aspect of fairness, governance, transparency, accuracy, safety, and legality being questioned. And that is an aspect which requires discussion, not only from us, but also from the government and other stakeholders. Sakshi, can you please check? Are we presenting the sharing screen? Because I think I'm able to view it. I'm not sure why the other students are not able to view it. Can you please look into it?
Just one moment.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, so that is the reason why it becomes important for us to discuss the aspect of exploration of a right to privacy along with artificial intelligence. Now, if we come to slide number 9, please. Slide number 9 discusses the challenges in AI based medical devices. Next slide, please, Sakshi. And another one. Next. Yeah, thank you. Now, this slide is a very important slide. Now, why is it? Because, first of all, when we brought in artificial intelligence, it wasn't largely to write our research papers. It was to use it in the common benefit of the mankind. Now, this common benefit largely is seen in medical devices, correct? We see 3D, 4D printers bringing in and creating a new organ. So that is the reason it becomes very important for us again to discuss about these certain challenges which can be brought in because of AI based medical devices. Now, the first aspect is patient's consent. Okay, now with reference to right to privacy, also the aspect of this is consent. Now, you are consenting. Now, see, you cannot use chat gpt or other AI tool unless and until you give your consent. Now, in this particular instance, if you have to use, you have to give consent. Do we read what are the terms and conditions of that consent? Largely no, correct? Now, in that particular consent, if you have not read about it, please read it once. In that particular instance, it is clearly laid down that the user has given up his rights on the personal information largely, and your personal information, email address, and phone numbers can be shared with the trusted authorities. Now, who are these trusted authorities is something that individuals are not aware of, correct? And because there is a time for you to use a particular tool of artificial intelligence, you have to give your consent, correct? So the data and right to privacy largely is getting clashed with each other, correct? Because there is no right to privacy ना, क्योंकि आपने तो खुद से ही बोला है ठीक है मेरा ये सब ले लो, लेकिन आपने consent किस चीजों के लिए दे रखा है? Is something that we are not aware of, correct? And as a result of this, we also see point number 3, which becomes important: data privacy and cybersecurity at a threat. Now, why is this problematic for us? Is that although you have the cyber laws in India, which were created only in the year 2000, and it is only 23-year-old, how many of us are actually aware about the contents of the Information Technology Act? Our parents might not be aware about it, correct? Even we ourselves are not aware about the kind of proclamations or the rights that we have. In all of these instances, the Information Technology Act largely does not protect your right to privacy also. Let me remind you of that fact. Okay, so in all of these instances, we see that there is a data privacy and cybersecurity issue, correct? Now, you might also see certain calls from individuals or certain emails that you receive from AI generated tools, etc. Now, in all of these instances, it is playing with you using algorithm. considering that this particular individual uses this particular artificial intelligence, and tomorrow they will also be ready for a premium version, correct? Now spending 1600, 1500 rupees per month, four five friends are sharing that particular amount of money, is something which I feel right now is affordable to few of us, right? But something like this can be used which will infringe your right to privacy, and your data privacy will be breached. Now the moment your data privacy gets breached, who do you contact in India? Who do you contact in India is a big question, because all of these systems, the cloud software is situated outside India. India does not have any negotiation deals or any trade agreements, etc., with the organization, with another organization. It does not have a chat GPT, correct? How do you then play with this? Is something which needs to be seen at all times and needs. Okay, now I'll bring you out something very interesting, and which is the next slide. Can we come to the slide, please, Sakshi? Now, see here. This is of morphing of images. If you've not heard about morphing of images, why these morphing of images has become important? I'll tell you for the reason, because a Russian president was, or even Kim Kardashian for that matter, there was a lot of news which came in and said this point, that particular image is being morphed. Okay, now they did it intentionally, क्योंकि वो चाहते थे कि a particular section of the society should view them, look at them at a particular instance only. But take the example of a morphing of images here. Image one, cross fading, and image two. Okay, now in this particular instance, what do you largely see? You see that the image getting morphed, right? Now this is what is happening to our personal information as well. Something like image can be morphed using artificial intelligence, and we might not be even aware about it, correct? Now you are using tools like warp here. Now using tools like warp here, we are our right to privacy is getting infringed, and we did not even give consent to this. So in an instance like this, what do we do is a question. Let's come on to the next slide, please. Next slide. And here you see this aspect, you see this image again. Now, on the left hand side of your screen, you have a person, a male human being. Then you have a tiger in the second screen layout. And the third is how the process of image morphing will take place. Okay. Now, these tools, again, boys and girls, let me remind you, you're already using Snapchat and Instagram tools. Okay. But have you thought about how this takes away your right to privacy? If something like this can be done using an Instagram largely, just imagine if a friend in good faith takes your image, uses it, morphs it to take it further, then what will be the consequences? We don't really largely think about it, correct? And this needs to be questioned. More people need to question about this aspect. And as a result of this, it becomes important for us to know about what should we be doing and what should not we be doing. Should you be doing this at the cost of your own life? Is something a questionable aspect. तो क्या मैं photograph खिंचवाना Instagram पे बंद कर दूं? Is a question I largely leave it on to you. All right. So this is something which is very, very dangerous in nature. Next slide, please. Next slide, we see the aspect of another example, which is voice modulation. वॉइस को चेंज करके बताना कि मैं पर्टिकुलर इंडिविजुअल हूँ, मैं इस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन से हूँ, और आप उसको पर्टिकुलर एस्पेक्ट को लेजिटिमाइज कर रहे हो थ्रू वॉइस मॉड्यूलेशन. नाउ आई हैव टेकन दी स्क्रीनशॉट्स फ्रॉम द इंटरनेट that there are AI generated tools here largely which can give access to these voice tools. In an instance like this, boys and girls, don't you think your voice can be used to create something else? Yes. So in an instance like this, it becomes important for us to again discuss the aspect of artificial intelligence with the aspect of right to privacy. I have another example here. If you come to the next screen, please. You can, next screen, please, Sakshi. Yeah, thanks. You can make an AI cover song with any artist's voice using a voice changer. Okay, now see here, this particular screen here, again, this information is available on the internet. I've just copy pasted so as to you all to know what kind of information are we largely looking at. Okay, so we can do anything. We can change the voice, we can change the image, we can actually, if I'm looking like this. I can change myself to a size zero figure, etc., etc. Now the potentials as well as the challenges of artificial intelligence is largely very pivotal, which needs to be understood. So if we come and see what are the privacy concerns, largely the privacy concerns involved with artificial intelligence, it is given on your screen. If we can go to the next slide, please. The integration of AI with personal data raises severe privacy concerns. Number one is with reference to data breaches. Cyber criminals, we have already seen the particular instance in Bihar where individuals are calling other individuals largely to make fraudulent phone calls ki hame itna paisa transfer kar do, like something what Satyan right now is basically saying. So in all of these instances, your data breaches are taking place at a high level, and this needs to be seen and considered. Number two is that who is checking surveillance and tracking. Okay, I have always seen this, and I think that is one fascination, that if I put my phone on airplane mode, or if I switch off my phone and then I'll switch it on again, my location is always on. I don't know why. And sometimes there are times when I see my phone mein automatically location on ho gaya. So I really don't understand that what is the gimmick behind it. Okay, so the surveillance and tracking system is something which is serious and needs to be considered. Correct. So because we are also leading into what mass surveillance here, and our tracking of activities is taking place. मैं कितने बजे ऑफिस से निकल रही हूँ, कितने बजे ऑफिस पहुंच रही हूँ, etc., etc. So this is again something very dangerous, right? And then again, AI algorithms can be used to play with you, which can sort of, let us say if an AI algorithm, a person is there on Tinder, the AI algorithm can be used, images can be morphed, etc., and that another individual can again be seen in shadi.com, and the person did not consent to it. So in all of these instances, there is profiling and discrimination which can take place here. And then you again see that there is lack of transparency and informed consent largely being taken from individuals. Okay, you are giving your consent only to a certain things, but to what level can it be used is something which is not so much discussed, and hence it becomes important for us to discuss aspects reference to privacy concerns as well. Now, 1984 largely correct. So in all these instances, now the point being that the right to privacy is recognized as a fundamental right. Correct. But if we come to the next slide here, my next slide discusses about legal framework. Is it a work progress? And yes, it is a work in progress. Can you come to the next slide, please, Sakshi? Okay, now you see here you have the IT Act and the IT rules largely, which discusses, you have these rules which are called reasonable security practices, procedures, and sensitive personal data or information rules 2011. But if you see the contents of this particular legislation here, legislation which has been referred to the standing committee, it is pending formal enactment. And the draft non-personal data governance framework, which was released seeking comments from the public on the regulation of non-personal data. This does not discusses about personal data largely. So in all of these instances, when first of all the government takes our comments, does that particular comments are getting reflected in the legislation is something very questionable in nature. Correct. We also see that there is a EU General Data Protection Regulation. Okay, seeks to limit the effects of automated decisions. Now, this is something which is largely used in the European Union, but we do not something see this practice in India largely. Now, what is the role of this EU General Data Protection is that it allows individuals to control their personal data and its use, and it has introduced structural reforms in the systems which uses personal data. Okay, it provides the individuals with the right to access, rectify, and erase personal data, which includes inference for the purpose of profiling. So in all of these instances, boys and girls, let me tell you that in India, we do not have comprehensive regulations on cybersecurity. And the prevailing legislation which we have is the IT Act and the rules. It only defines the incidences of cybersecurity incidents. Okay, when these cybersecurity incidents are largely being defined, explained largely, who do we approach when these servers are situated outside India? And Today, ChatGPT as a tool is working. Tomorrow, you are not aware about the source of that information, correct? From where this particular organization is working. Now, tomorrow, if it's shut down its particular website, how are you going to trace? And the damage has already been done. And then the aspect of damage control becomes very difficult for us to be knowing. So, in all of these instances, although we have the aspect of right to be forgotten, which is recognized, but how much is right to be forgotten implemented? Can you go to any security officer or even online? Can you fill up a form and say, okay, मेरा right to be forgotten मेरे को apply करना है? उस process क्या है apply करने का? The procedure established by law. Is there a procedure which is established by law in a case like this? नहीं ना. अब जब नहीं है तो you can't do anything. Correct? Do not have any legislation. We do not have any executive orders, rules, and regulations in this particular regard. So, as a moment of because of the reason like this, it becomes important for us to question, discuss, and analyze again further and further the aspects of right to privacy with reference to artificial intelligence. So, what is the way forward? If you come to the next slide, the way forward which we can think of is that require strong data protection laws. And this is the need of the hour. We cannot do anything beyond it. We need to write letters to the ministry. Please come to the next slide, Sakshi. We need to write letters. Sorry? Yeah, we need to write letters to the ministry. We need to discuss this aspect again and again with them that we require strong data protection laws. Okay, and if something like writing comments and all for a particular legislation also comes into place, we also have to discuss with this at them again कि हम लोगों को data protection laws के लिए आप हमें कोई solution दीजिए, because we do not have this particular solution with us. Okay, now privacy rights, privacy by design, we should be able to explore हमें क्या privacy देना है, क्या privacy नहीं देना है. Correct? So in this particular aspect, again, the law needs to be in sync, which tells us about this particular privacy rights. Your rights are in. Then we also require that there should be data minimization. Okay. Now, my mother a few days back told me she learned a new word, and it was information hygiene. Information hygiene basically meant that was in the newspaper that there was this new terminology which they created with the name of information hygiene, which information should be deleted and which information should be kept. Okay, now when in our computer, when there is a lot of information in the way of files, applications, etc., computer tells us directly, okay, isko delete karo, or even in our phones. But is there any mechanism which is there on the internet? No. Any XYZ information gets fed on the internet. And that is why there is a hygiene which is required even in the internet. Okay, so there is a minimum level of data minimization which is required. We also have to develop and adhere to ethical frameworks for artificial intelligence development and deployment, because until and unless this is not done, our rights will be violated on a daily basis. And please note this is a very serious concern. We cannot approach any authority and tell this point हमारे साथ ये चीज हो रहा है, क्योंकि वो भी बोलेंगे अरे हमारे साथ भी यही चीज हो रहा है, क्या करें अभी हम लोग, अभी बताइए. Okay, in all of these instances, this needs to be seriously be seen by individuals. Okay, we have to enhance our AI system transparency, and we have to promote the implementation of robust cybersecurity measures to safeguard AI systems. So this needs to be done by all of us and by the government. Largely, the government has to play a central role here to ensure that our through artificial intelligence, that we understand the opportunities which these artificial intelligence provides to us. But we also have to look into the point with reference to what kind of challenges do we are bringing. Okay, so in all of these instances, this needs to be seen largely. Okay, so this was my discussion and presentation on artificial intelligence and right to privacy. I hope I could have shed light on certain aspects, not all, but in all of these instances, I request you all to kindly go and read certain research papers on this and how individuals' rights are getting impacted. Right? So this is my presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer the questions for the next 5 minutes, because yeah, it is information hygiene, Priyanka. Information
Excuse me.
hygiene. Yes, Savita.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Savita.
Ma'am, I just want to know more about Chat GP, GGP, sorry, CGPT. That
Chat GPT.
okay, I'm so sorry. I'm just crumbling out my tongue. Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Ma'am, when we are using that app for our drafting skill, so you think it's is it safe for us or for just we should be aware or we should be warned regarding using that app for our legal drafting?
For a legal drafting, Savita, first of all, I think there is the US Supreme Court which used Chat GPT to for bail drafting and all. Correct.
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
Yes,
in that
yes.
particular instance, what we again saw was that there was incorrect information being used by Chat GPT. Correct. So in all of these instances, this becomes a tool for us to maybe for smaller things, but not for something we cannot take. There are certain exceptions which needs to be brought, something like medical advices, something like legal drafting and legal advices. We should not take these advices from Chat GPT because this is a generated tool and it is learning from the users. Okay, so that's
No,
the
ma'am.
basic concept.
Ah, ma'am, I understood, but what do I mean exactly is that we are framing our drafting with our skill only, right? Human skill only and intelligence, but just to correct that proper in a proper way, then it is safe to use, no, ma'am?
Ma'am, in that case, it is safe to use. Now, the information, it's not about that. We are talking about here about with reference to the privacy. When you are
Yes,
logging
yes,
in,
exactly,
सब
ma'am.
कुछ
Privacy I'm
sensitivity
talking
करके
about.
है. So it is safe to a certain extent, and it can be misused to what certain extent is something that we have yet not understood. Because Chat GPT largely became famous in the last 4 months.
Okay,
Yes.
okay, ma'am.
Just
Understood, ma'am.
जिस
Understood,
लेवल
understood.
तक खतरा है हमें, मैम, हमें ये चीज नहीं पता.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, just
है
it
ना?
is on experiment base.
Exactly,
Okay.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. All
Thank you,
right.
ma'am.
Thank you, Savita, ma'am. Any other questions, concerns? So, Priyanka, with reference to the legal frameworks and regulations, we have the Information Technology Act. We do not have any other act which discusses act, a regulation, rule, or even a notice from the Ministry of Information and Technology, which largely discusses about the privacy infringement. So, as a result of this, because this is a legal lacuna, क्योंकि हमारे पास laws ही नहीं है. So, in India, we do not have any laws and regulations which discuss about this aspect. Okay, next, another question which,
Ma'am, I will read the questions for you, then you can answer it.
yeah, it's okay. I've read it. I just have 2 more minutes. I have to end the session. Then there is a threat of artificial intelligence, voice cloning, which can take over in many voice-based applications at Siri, eco kind of devices, exactly. And the threat of using Siri and other voice application is largely many things, because if you ask certain things to Siri and Siri and other these applications, they answer in a different tone, or they do not answer, and they give you some other information which a particular maybe a child should not be aware about. So there is a threat of artificial intelligence cloning, that we completely agree. And if you have seen movies like Mission Impossible, the previous Mission Impossibles of Tom Cruise, the part 1, 2, and 3, largely we have already seen the threat of AI clone devices, what can be done. Okay, threat to life is also there, because recent killing of biggest billionaire of cryptocurrency, absolutely. In a case like this, again, if a particular individual can be targeted, like that is the points with reference to discussion, discrimination, entry and exit, how much are you using AI generated tools, okay, and what kind of information are you feeding. If tomorrow they come in and say this, that you have to provide your credit card number and not your debit card. And have you seen these modalities? I mean, usually these websites ask for your credit card number only. Why not debit card? Because they know there is a limit in the debit card. There is no such limits in credit cards, correct? So in all of these instances, it brings up very serious questions with reference to privacy rights largely. Okay, yes, artificial intelligence, we have written a paper that artificial intelligence infringes copyrights, because when we talk about the author, when we talk about copyright law में एक aspect आता है author का, authorship का. So this authorship largely does not lie with GPT. It lies with us. Okay, and this particular author, when the GPT is creating a particular instance, the authorship is not so much recognized. Okay, so it infringes the copyrights of not the artificial intelligence, but maybe a particular certain individual, and you're using it to paraphrase a particular text. Okay, so in all of these instances, that becomes violation of the right, the moral right of the author largely. Okay, so yes, we need to prioritize privacy protection. You have to first of all see there needs to be a balance which needs to be created between information, between development, and between protecting the rights of the individual. So all of these instances needs to be seen. So messages are posted on Twitter, Insta using AI from a user's ID without their knowledge. Absolutely, that is also all of these instances where we see that the artificial intelligence are largely playing with the rights of the privacy concerns. Okay, now just imagine if big players largely can be seen. Okay, so then big players largely are getting impacted. We are just puppets. ओके हमारे तो राइट्स होंगे ही इन्फ्रिंज, क्या पता हो ही रहे हो और हमें पता ही नहीं होगा. ओके, so the same case with reference to the Aadhaar. So Aadhaar largely is a is a bill, is an act which is for the benefit of the larger section of the society, etc., etc., and all good and everything. But there are certain shady dimensions of Aadhaar, which I feel right now is not the appropriate platform to be discussing on the same, for the simple reason that I have to go for a meeting at 11:45. I have to join lectures. All right. So thank you so much, everybody, for logging in, and maybe we can have another session to discuss about these intricacies. Thank you, team, for the introduction and for the session on artificial intelligence and right to privacy. I'll end the session now. Hope you all have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
ma'am.
Have a great day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining.